Hello, everyone. Hopefully, you can hear me and see me. If you can hear me and see me, please give me a yes in the chat because that would fill me with happiness and delight. So if you can hear me or you can see me and you can hopefully see my screen and there's kind of like a matrix view of hundreds of different versions of myself, can you let me know whether or not you see me? Mauricio says yes. Thank you. Amy says yes. Brian says yes. Antonio says yes. Beverly says yes. And Carrie, thank you very much. And Carrie, please give me a call on whether or not it's Bristol, England or Bristol, Virginia. Are there two Bristols? I don't know, but I do know that I have been to the one in the UK. Great, guys. All right, so everyone can see me. So today we are going to be talking about something that I have honestly been wanting to talk about for literally 3 years. So I hope that everyone's very excited and in understanding what we're really thinking about doing today, which is completely and utterly rethinking the way that workday analytics are done. Our mission as a company is we're trying to empower the world's transition towards remote work. And through doing that, we're trying to give people peace of mind in understanding where work is done, how effectively it's done, regardless of wherever you are. And so, because of that, we've been really thinking very hard here at Time Doctor on shipping out some new and innovative features for everyone to be able to partake in. So, the way that the process works is we're actually going to show you, and I can just flip by this one. This is a photo of me. I don't really like that photo of me. I would love to know if anyone also thinks that maybe I need to work on that one. But Jeff looks amazing. Jeff actually gave this same presentation about 8 hours ago for everyone on the other side of the planet, and I'm giving this one for this side of the planet. But agenda. So who is Chainsaw Team? That is the secret name that we give to our research and development organization, and we'll have more about why we call ourselves Chainsaw Team right then and there. Also, going to be talking about our new beta program that we're going to be rolling out to absolutely everyone that is on this webinar that is interested in being part of the beta program. You are going to be able to get into it at the end of this presentation. So please let us know whether or not you are excited about that. We're also going to go into a deep dive for 4 new concepts that we are loading up here inside of the R&D Chainsaw Team. Benchmarking integration report, process paths, quit prediction, and the work tool utilization report. We're also going to have a bonus feature, which is our unusual activity report. And then we would love to be able to get as much feedback as humanly possible from you. So being part of this beta program, the only thing that we ask of you is that you give us really meaningful feedback. So if you're interested in really kind of understanding the tip of the spear concepts and ideas that we're going to be shipping here at Time Doctor, it's very important that you provide us the feedback so that we know what we can do to be able to make these features better. Now, I'm sure probably a lot of you are asking, what the heck is the Chainsaw Team? Well, the Chainsaw Team is this. So we had this concept, and this came off of a conversation that I had with another entrepreneur, which is I was talking about the different features that we are building out at Time Doctor. And he said, so are you building an axe or are you building a chainsaw? And I said, what do you mean? And he said, well, when you build a better axe, you're actually just refining what you currently have in place. But if you're building a chainsaw, it's something that could have a exponential transformative potential towards your company. So are you sharpening your axe or are you building a chainsaw? And so for us, what we decided to do is we actually split our engineering department. 80% of our resources are spent on sharpening our axe, and 20% of our resources are spent on building chainsaws. And what we're going to be presenting to you today is 4 possible chainsaws that hopefully you will find interesting. The beta program, you're going to be able to get early access to this. And by doing it, what we want from you in return is we want your feedback on these particular features and the product in itself. So you're going to help shape how the product is being built. But again, this is kind of a give and take because we're obviously really interested in what you have to say as a Time Doctor customer. So this is really important for us. We're also going to give everyone that's part of the beta program exclusive events that they're going to be able to get access to. This is one of them, and you'll be able to also get access to the chainsaw team. So not only would you be working with your current support team, and if you have a CS rep that's assigned to you, you would also get access to the chainsaw team's resources, where we would be able to talk to you and you'd be able to talk to us about features that maybe you're really interested in and you would love to be able to have shipped. That information will go directly to us because you're part of this beta program and we know that you're putting in the time. And also for us, it's just allowing you to be able to fundamentally stay ahead of the curve. I know that with the rise of ChatGPT and artificial intelligence and all of the things that we have heard a lot of feedback from our customers like yourselves, we don't really know where the future is going to be with regards to work in general. So we're hopeful that we can be ahead of that curve and provide you the strategic and tactical advantages that you need to be successful in the new future of work. So we're going to go into these 4 new features. I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to go through them. And again, once you actually check these all out, please put some questions in the chat and you can put them right in the chat. Unfortunately, I can't see the chat box at this point, but what I will be able to do is after this presentation is over at the Q&A section, I'll just start answering them. So if you have a question, type it down in chat and then I'll be able to answer it. And or we actually have people that are on this webinar right now that might be able to answer that question for you as well. All right, so number 1 is something that we call the integration report. So probably a lot of you have already seen this dashboard before. This is the Time Doctor dashboard. And one of the things that we really recognized inside of Time Doctor is that we were great at input metrics, websites, applications, mouse movements, and keyboard movements. We were great at collecting that information and giving you insight on input data. However, we're not really good at correlating output data to input data. So what is output data? Well, it's any goal that you want to achieve inside of your business. Do you want to make more money? Do you want to have higher customer success support numbers? Do you want to have a higher NPS, a higher CSAT score? Do you want to be able to answer calls faster? These are all examples of goals that our customers have inside of Time Doctor. So this is an example of what we can do to be able to correlate inputs to outputs and hopefully gain some insights from it. The first application that we're using is Zendesk. So we're going to be showing you this example with Zendesk, but rest assured, if you have anything that creates a quantifiable and longitudinal goal, we can actually correlate that data for you. We're starting out with Zendesk because we have 13,000 daily active users that use Zendesk every single day inside of our platform. But you could use this with Intercom. You could use this with a Salesforce CRM, HubSpot. When you think about who actually has a goal inside of their business and you can pull that out through an API, we can usually build a correlation for it. So I don't want everyone to just think, oh, this is Zendesk, this isn't for me. Think about it in a higher level of the general ideas that we have in terms of correlating inputs to outputs. So on Zendesk here, you have your close most tickets, close least tickets, lowest CSAT, highest CSAT, support agent ticket delivery, ticket interactions, average first response time, and average resolution time. You've probably seen this stuff before, and this is actually currently available inside of Zendesk. What isn't available is this next dashboard. So this is where we correlate our data with Zendesk's data. So tickets closed is Zendesk data. Days worked is Time Doctor. Hours worked is Time Doctor. Ticket completion per hour and per day, well, that's Time Doctor and Zendesk. Ticket interactions, that is Zendesk. Interactions per hour and per day, that's also Zendesk. Idle time, that's Time Doctor. Unproductive time, that's Time Doctor. Average response time, that's Zendesk. Remote sessions, that is Time Doctor. We're literally able to tell you how many times you actually jump into a remote session with a client. Average resolution time, that is Zendesk, and CSAT, that's Zendesk. So once we correlate all this data and we put it together, we actually end up with something like this. So what we can do here is correlate where you stand in comparison to everyone else inside of your industry, your company, a particular department, or you can compare one user to another user. So very easily here, let's say that we're trying to optimize for CSAT score as an example, and we can see that Kevin is actually answering less tickets than the standard deviation required to be qualified as a high CSAT score or MPS score customer. And then employee. And then Eva is actually meeting this requirement perfectly. But you can see here, even though Kevin has accomplished approximately 50 less tickets than Eva, they work exactly the same amount of time. So what's the issue here? Well, you need to be able to really analyze that data. And this allows for us to be able to very clearly figure out what variables impact output inside of your organization. So maybe someone like Kevin, we could say, Kevin, your average response time is great. Your average resolution time is amazing. Your CSAT is amazing. Your idle time is amazing. The time on video calls is even amazing. But here's the issue. You're spending 55 hours on per week working inside of the company, which by the way is a little too much, but you're only completing 196 tickets, and on average you should be completing 230, or between 200 and 275. That would be the standard deviation there. Also, too, you can add this for your industry. So let's say that you work in the BPO industry. We can actually tell you, with the power of machine learning and artificial intelligence, we analyze everyone in the industry through our system, and then we can give you an anonymized standard for where everyone else sits in the industry and then where you sit in terms of these activities. Also, these aren't just the only variables. We can actually bring in different variables. So if there's something that's really important to you, like amount of time spent on Zoom, you can actually import that directly into this report. So that's the actual report in itself. Now, this one is actually live on our platform as it stands now. This is an example of the Zendesk integration report. You can see, and we've redacted information, obviously, for the purposes of this experiment, but you can see tickets closed, days worked, total time tracked, time on Zendesk, tickets per hour on Zendesk, productive share time, idle time. Again, we can add these different variables, but you can very quickly see who are the top performers inside of your organization and why are they the top performers inside of your organization, and what interesting correlations does Zendesk data and Time Doctor data have to be able to work both of those together. So again, this is just for Zendesk, but think about what you can do for any other quantifiable longitudinal metric or goal inside of your company. We can add that into this system and get it up and working. So that is idea number one, which we are calling the integration report. And next, I want to show you something that we have been working on actually for almost 4 years, and we have shipped this to customers, and we would like to be able to ship it to many more customers for our new build of Time Doctor 2, which probably the vast majority of you are on right now. This was working with our previous version of Time Doctor, but we are actually going to completely rebuild this particular feature and ship it out to everyone. Now, the problem that everyone currently faces inside of their companies, if you ask someone, what's the biggest need for everyone what's the biggest problem inside of their companies? It's talent. That's it. That is the number one question. Talent, talent, talent. I need to find more talent. I need to find good talent. I need to keep good talent. Well, this feature solves that perfectly. It's called quit prediction. So what this essentially allows you to do is it allows you to be able to analyze with a 82% accuracy rate whether or not someone is going to quit their job 6 months before they do. So that's pretty amazing. And a lot of people talk to us and say, well, that's complete BS. How can you actually do that? I will explain how we do that. But it's a very, very simple feature. So what it essentially allows you to do is it allows you to be able to analyze the probability of quitting over any particular week or month. And then we analyze that data longitudinally. So, as an example, let's say that we were looking at Olivia, who actually here has a very high chance of quitting in the beginning of the last 6 months here on this report. And then we know that the chance of quitting has gone down. If we were actually to reverse this and we saw a continuous uptick in terms of her chance of quitting, that would be an opportunity where we would go up and we would chat with her and we would say, Olivia, what's going on here? What's the issue? Because we know, again, from building a feature like this, that we know that this person is a top performer inside of the organization. We would be able to go to Olivia and say, what's the issue? Are you having a problem with your manager? Are you having a problem with a coworker? Do you have problems at home? What is the real key issue here? Because we are concerned that you are thinking about leaving the organization, to be completely honest with you. Now, the thing that is really exciting is people always ask me, why is this happening? What is going on with regards to how do you build this algorithm? Well, I have a difficult answer and I have a very easy answer for everyone. The very easy answer is it's magic and you just need to trust us. And to be honest with you, that's that's where we should leave the conversation. To be a little bit more complicated, we have 32,000 different variables that we've been analyzing through Bayesian algorithms. So effectively, what this allows you to be able to do is it allows you to look at 32,000 different variables all at the same time. Humans really can't perceive more than 5 things at the same time. A computer, on the other hand, can understand tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions. So for people that are interested, this is actually how the algorithm currently looks. So some of the most important variables that impact whether or not someone is going to quit is total days in service, average working time, the count of working hours, the amount of time that they logged, the amount of daily number of applications that they used and how that changed. But again, there are thousands of different variables that impact quit prediction. And actually, to be honest with you, firing prediction, we're a little less precise on firing prediction, but we can also analyze that for you as well. And it allows us to be able to pull up the data and very clearly identify whether or not someone is going to quit, again, with an 82% accuracy rate. Now, with this feature, one of the other pieces that we need to take into consideration is there might be many different reasons for quitting. And actually, if we told you what that reason was, our algorithm can give you a reason, but it generally doesn't make any sense because we're correlating a bunch of different variables together. The best thing to do with quit prediction is to really just chat with your employees and say, are you burnt out? Are you realizing that you're having an internal conflict inside of the organization? Are you having stresses outside of work? Is the workload too much? These are all pieces that you need to be able to start that conversation with. We kind of see this as a conversation starter to be able to keep that talent inside of your organization. The other way that we can apply this is amazing if you're actually looking at figuring out who are top performers and can we identify top performers faster inside of our organization? Because you can very quickly identify within about 3 months using features like this and features like quit prediction, whether or not someone is the right fit for your organization, not just in 6, 12, or 18 months, but in 1, 2 to 3 months, which is going to save you time and it's going to save you money. So that was quit prediction. The next feature that I would love to be able to show to everyone is something called process paths. And this is actually something that has come from a few of our largest clients inside of Time Doctor. And so what they are constantly trying to be able to identify is how does someone actually build process documentation for the new reality of work? If you think about how you build your process documents and how they're built inside of an organization, the reality is that The process documents are usually written by someone like the co-founder of the company, someone in the executive team, a VP, a director. They're not actually written by the frontline employees inside of an organization. And what this produces is process documents that people don't really follow, process documents that are imprecise, and that don't really show value to your employee. Also, there's a secondary issue here, which is huge. Processes change dependent upon, number one, what you're trying to target and the situation at the time. Let's say that all of a sudden our servers went down. Well, everyone needs to actually build process. It needs to be able to answer tickets as quickly as humanly possible. And the way that you would answer those tickets might be very different from a regular day of work. So process paths hopes to solve all of those problems for our clients. So we're using Zendesk again, but again, think about anything that has a beginning and an end. You open a Zendesk ticket and you close a Zendesk ticket. So in this case, we have 1,054 Zendesk tickets that are opened. 210 people, basically support reps, open that ticket. 210 went to the chat pop-up, went to the website FAQ, Zendesk chat pop-up, and then closed that particular ticket. And we can see the result was they spent 10 hours and 55 minutes. They were idle for 3 hours and 34 minutes, and they got an MPS of, or a CSAT of 4.8. And you can see all of the different stages throughout that particular task, that process. Now, let me just scroll down here to the next one. Now, you can also change this dependent upon what you're actually trying to optimize for. So let's say that I wanted to, let me go to the next slide here because that's going to be a lot more fun. So let's say I wanted to actually look at different ways that a particular Zendesk ticket was answered, or a certain outcome variable to look for. Let's say that I wanted to look at the lowest MPS activity. So what should people not be doing inside of the organization? Or the highest MPS activity? What should people definitely be doing? Or the least common flows, the most common flows? You might actually identify who are your absolute top performers, and you can create a tab like that, basically a little drop down, so you can identify what do your top performers do in comparison to everyone else? Are there consistent changes that they do inside of the organization? And so the opportunities are really endless in terms of the ways that you can slice and dice this data. And we're using MPS as a perfect example because a lot of our clients say, well, we don't really want to compete on time. We don't want to get a ticket answered quickly inside of the organization. We want to be able to make sure that we can guarantee to our clients that we will have a higher net promoter score than their internal team or other companies that are competing against them in terms of providing support. So what it allows you to do is data mine all of that information. We initially actually called this process mining, but we thought that process paths were cooler because I like alliteration. And the ability for you to be able to identify the ideal path for anyone doing any type of work dependent upon the type of result that you want to be able to get, I think is a huge game changer inside of Time Doctor. Also, most importantly, this allows for you to be able to essentially forget about building processes inside of your organization, because your actual employees are going to build the best possible processes and they don't even know that they're doing it. Because we're data mining this, you'll actually be able to pull out what's the ideal way to answer a Zendesk ticket. Well, consistently, we know that it is opening up a Zendesk ticket, going to the chat pop-up, going to Zoom as an example, jumping back into Slack, going on a remote session with a client, and then completing the ticket. And that's a perfect example of the type of insights that you'll be able to pull out. This is also really great as a coaching tool for employees because they can see very clearly, I'm actually getting 80 to 90% of answering a ticket perfectly right. The only problem that I have is that when I look at everyone that's a top performer, they spend 20% of their time on remote sessions with clients, and I spend 6% of my time on remote sessions with clients. So I need to be able to boost that up in order to be able to increase the result that we're really focused on. So that is process paths. And if we go back to our document here, we've done quick prediction, process paths, the integration report, and we've got one really cool one, which is the tool utilization report. We actually only renamed this yesterday. So we're still tooling around with the actual end state for the name of this report. But I think this one is actually really cool, and it came from an internal problem that we had inside of Time Doctor. So we had a very expensive tool, and this tool cost us almost $100,000 per year in order to be able to implement. And that's a lot of money for us. So I went back to the team and I said, "Are you guys using this?" And they said, "Of course we're using it. And it's absolutely critical to the way that we operate the business." And I said, "Okay, but I just ran a report using Time Doctor, and it looks like the last time that people logged in was 2 months ago inside of this software. We're paying a lot for this software. Are you actually using it?" And through this back and forth, I was able to identify that we weren't actually using the software anywhere near to the degree to which we needed to use it. And we actually shut down that piece of software, and we saved ourselves $100,000. We actually ended up implementing a much cheaper version of that software, which was more user-friendly. We got the right training for it. So now everyone is using that, and it's a huge success story because we have more utilization and we have less wastage in terms of dollars lost. So this tool allows you to be able to analyze any website or application and see its usage inside of your organization. It also allows you to be able to very clearly identify what you can save in terms of dollars or users inside of that particular website or application. So in this case, we're using the website asana.com, which is our project management software, which probably a lot of you have heard about, but you can think about anything that basically arranges all of your tasks and projects into one place. That's asana.com. And we have our user group here. I've chosen all of our users throughout the organization. And then I've typed in the price of the tool. So Asana costs $25 per user per month for their premium subscription. And we have 300 seats inside of our deployment. And you can see very clearly in this example that 123 users have not used Asana at all. So that's a saving of $4,425 per month that we could save instantly with implementing this switch. We also have a section here for users that used Asana for under 5 minutes per day. And in that case, it's $4,875. So you actually add up these two numbers and you end up with over $8,000 per month that we could save. That is, I didn't pass anything in mathematics, but that's a lot of money. That's 100 grand per year. And so you can see all of the ways that you can slice and dice this data and get some really interesting insights from it. So that's the result, but then you can also data mine this inside of our system as well. So we can see the number of users that used Asana every single day inside of our organization. You can use day, week, or month. And then you can actually see the percentage of their workday that they spent on this particular tool, which in this case, on average, is about 4%. And then you can actually get much more detailed data. So this is everyone inside of our organization and exactly how much time that they spend on Asana. We can see Maria here. She spends a lot of time on Asana every single day, which makes sense because she is a project manager. Now, let's say that I didn't actually want to look at all users. Let's say that I just want to focus on the marketing department inside of Time Doctor. You can see that they actually spend on average 10% of their workday using Asana. So I can see that the marketing department is using it 10% of the time, and everyone throughout the organization is using it about 4% of their time. Let's switch to a department that's actually a little bit more interesting. Let's go to the engineering department, and they use another tool called Jira to also do project management. And we can see they use it about 3 to 4% of their workday. So I could look at the marketing department and I could identify, why are you guys using it 10% of your workday? How are you using it? You're getting this amazing utilization out of the tool. You can also implement programs where you could say, I need everyone to spend 5% of their workday on Zoom. And you can very easily monitor that activity inside of this particular feature. One of the big things that we've been doing is we run a quasi asynchronous workflow inside of our organization. So a big part of what we're about as a remote organization is asynchronous management. We've written a book on that particular subject. We like it a lot. And asynchronous organizations spend approximately 20% of their time on synchronous communication. So this is essentially what we're doing right now is I'm communicating to you and you're watching this live. If you were watching the recording, it would be asynchronous. So doing video communication is actually really critical for us to be able to identify what percentage of our workday are we spending on Zoom. And we've identified that an asynchronous organization should be spending less than 20% of their workday on synchronous communication, and we are within those parameters. But a funny factoid about this, the average amount of time that a newly remote organization post pandemic spends on video conferencing is 56%, which is crazy. So 56% of their day they spend preparing to do work, and then they only have 40-ish% of their workday to actually do that work. So you could analyze that data and you could say, I want to be able to get Zoom usage down or synchronous communication down inside of my organization, or I want it to meet a 20% threshold. So you can monitor that very quickly and easily here. And then you can even boil down right into who are the people that I need to talk to about making a change on that particular website or application. So those are the features that we have, but we have one more feature that I think you might enjoy. This is something that we actually have had running in the background of Time Doctor for approximately a year and a half, and we are going to show this to you today. But before I show it to you, I would love for everyone that's in the chat right now, please, I would like to ask this single question. Does everyone know, or does anyone know what this is? Does anyone know what this is? Please put it down in the chat. Again, I can't see the chat, but I'd love to be able to find out how many people, yes, I know what this is, or no, I have no idea. I'd love to be able to just get an internal poll for everyone. All right, so without further ado, this is something called a mouse mover or jiggler. And I kid you not, this is literally a machine that you put on to your desktop, and you take your mouse and you put your mouse on that thing and it rotates and it actually changes, it moves your mouse around the screen like this, right? So there are plenty of different competitors. This is one of the top ones in the industry. They sell tens of thousands of these units every single month. At least that's what they told me. And by my estimates, there are millions of these devices in the United States at this point. And we had a lot of our clients saying, what's going on with these mouse jigglers? What are you doing with these mouse jigglers? How are we supposed to detect these mouse jigglers, right? Because remote work requires trust on both sides. Both the employee and the employer have to trust. Well, to be honest with you, if the employees are using mouse jigglers, that's a big problem. And the employer doesn't have trust and is saying everyone has to come back into the office because we're finished with this. I need to be able to see what people are doing inside of the office. Well, we've figured out a solution to that particular problem through using relatively simplistic machine learning and artificial intelligence. We've actually built a report that can allow you to be able to identify unusual keyboard and mouse activity. So what this allows you to be able to do is identify peculiar work habits. If there's a particular piece of software installed that even moves the mouse around, we can detect that. And the way that we do that is relatively simplistic, but very complicated from a machine learning and artificial intelligence perspective. Now, before I get into this, take into consideration someone that we've identified that is using that has some unusual activity is not someone that may be using this particular application, but it's something that you do need to be able to take a look at and just keep your eye on, and maybe you want to be able to have a conversation with that particular person, because to me, this is something that we cannot answer that directly to a client, meaning we can't tell you this person is using a mouse jiggler as an example. There are various legal ramifications that we have as an organization that we don't want to be responsible for definitively stating this. However, in a lot of our testing, we've identified that the vast majority of the time we can identify these, but it just would be a good opportunity again to be able to get out front of this. And we see generally throughout our data set, probably about 98% of users are actually really great. They don't use these types of applications at all. And then you see inside of that 2%, there's people that are possibly using it, and you need to be able to have a conversation with them because you need to be able to make sure that your organization is secure, and you need to be able to trust that your people are doing what they say that they are doing. So the report's relatively simple. You would be able to analyze, and we've redacted information here, obviously, but total unusual time in hours. Let's click on this particular user here. And you can get, actually, let's choose a more interesting user. That has a little bit more data. So unusually high keystrokes and mouse moves are unusually consistent, nearly identical number of moves from 1 minute to another. So you can see that here. You can actually see all of the instances of that particular data. And this is fundamentally, for me, a security breach as well, because you want to be able to make sure that that person, maybe their computer is hacked. You want to be able to watch for that stuff as well. This is the thing that actually is the most interesting. So you can see here, these are keystrokes, these are mouse movements, and these are mouse clicks. So keystrokes, we do not actually collect keystrokes. They're anonymized. So we don't actually, you don't see that data, and we don't see that data. That information does not leave the individual worker's computer. But what we do is we collect the flow of those particular keystrokes. And you can see here that there is a very consistent pattern that's basically emerging, right? You can see those zeros in the same place. You can see the sevens in the same place. Same thing with mouse movements. You can see that the movement is very, very consistent. And then you can see that there are no mouse clicks whatsoever. So this person, there is a very high chance that they are using some type of auto clicker or some type of mouse jiggler. So goodbye to that entire industry. We've solved it. If you're using Time Doctor right now, you can rest assured that no one in your organization will be able to use any of this technology to basically pretend that they are working when they're really not. So those are the three, or those are the, did we go through three? Those are the, that was the bonus one. So we've even done the bonus one here. And what I want to do, and I'm going to be able to jump back over to the chat just in a minute for our very last poll. But I'd like to be able to get an insight into what is everyone thinking? What is the most important feature that they are really excited about? So we have the integration report, which is this one right here. We have process paths, which is B, which is this one right here. We have quit prediction, which is this one right here. And we have the work utilization tool, which is this one right here, where we save a whole bunch of money for you. And then we have the unusual activity report, which is right here. So between those 5, and you can do A, B, C, D, or E if it's very easy for you to do that, or you can simply just type it in, because we'll record all of the chat data here for you, or for us as well. But those, we would love to be able to get your insights on them. So let me jump back over to the chat, and I will try to answer as many questions as I can. All right. Hopefully you can see me. And yeah, you guys can still see me and or talk to me. Perfect. All right. Looks like we're getting a lot of information. So I'm just going to jump up here and try to answer a lot of these questions as quickly as possible. All right. So we've got Time Doctor. We've got Intercom, HubSpot. Okay. So a lot of people are talking about Intercom and HubSpot. This is something that we're thinking about doing as well inside of the organization. actually, you know what? Probably the easiest way to answer questions. I'm sorry about that. There was just so much in the chat. Could you guys ask your questions directly? Because there are hundreds of different messages here. So if you have any questions about these reports, um, please let me know. And Beverly, thank you very much. DABEC, this is great. You guys are ranking it. That's even better for me. I'd love, Beverly, why is D your big winner for you? Why is work utilization? Why is the work utilization report for you the one that you are really, really excited about? I'll actually pop that down here so that everyone gets a reminder. Okay. The other question that I have for everyone, because it looks like unusual activity report is great, work utilization, Mauricio, great. No, it's an evil auto clicker. Okay. A, B, C, D. Um, Out of your most chosen feature, would you be willing, or would there be any point at which you would pay more for that particular feature? So if it's a yes, I would love to hear yes. And if it's a yes, just let me know how much more you would pay for your top feature that you requested. Beverly here has an answer for it. We seem to have a lot of tools, and narrowing down who is using these tools would be a great money saver for the company. Thank you very much, Beverly. That's actually a great way to think about it. And to be honest with you, Beverly, I had the same insight too. It's been amazing having this superpower where we can just analyze very clearly down to the dollars and cents of who is doing what inside of the organization, who's using what software, what does it cost, and how can we make sure that people are using it at. I don't know if I popped off the screen. Oh, I'm back. Okay, cool. Hopefully you can see me and or hear me. So anyone else have any other questions or comments with regards to amazing. There's a Q&A popping up right here. All right. So where does the average or standard deviation come from? All right. So this is a great question, Antonio. What it allows you to do is, let's say that you were looking at the BPO industry or looking at different job types. What we can do is we can very quickly analyze. Let's say that you are a customer support agent. Well, you're probably using a tool like Intercom or Zendesk, or maybe you're using the HubSpot customer support tool inside of that particular suite of applications. We can actually tell you, hey, you're a support agent. We anonymize that data, and then we can actually give you the insight of what does the average support agent do all day long. So, oh, well, here's the amount of time that they spend on video calls. Here's the amount of time that they spend on project management. Here's the amount of time that they spend on support ticket software, as an example. And then from that, you can actually start to, that's the general standard deviation, the average and the standard deviation. But then when you add in a variable like Zendesk's MPS, well, then we can also data mine all of this MPS data. Again, we have 13,000 users that use Zendesk every single day. And we can tell you, well, what makes a high MPS employee in terms of Zendesk successful or unsuccessful in general throughout the entire industry. And then we can boil it down to your company, we can boil it down to your department, and we can even boil it down to your particular team. So that's kind of the way that works. And to me, that's a huge game changer, because right out of the box, I can tell you where you fit inside of your industry. From day one, I can tell you where you fit inside of your industry, which I think is very exciting. If the magic people in the background can send me another question this way, this is amazing. I didn't even know it was going to happen this way. Okay, we've got another one from Antonio. I love Zendesk integration. Can we do this with Salesforce? So right now we are shipping with Zendesk, but if you are really interested in using it with Salesforce or with any other tool like Intercom or any other, again, data point that is longitudinal and quantifiable, um, that is the time. Basically, give us that information so that we can actually collect that info, and then we can actually start to, after our Zendesk integration, go through and start to build out other integrations for their applications as well. The beauty of it is, now that we're building out Zendesk, and Zendesk is essentially already done as a beta product, it's very easy for us to be able to add in other integrations. And of course, if you want to jump to the front of the line and want to be able to do a custom integration with us, please let us know. We will immediately get on that and do a call inside of Chainsaw Team. All right. Does anyone else have any questions about any of the other features that they saw that I just presented to you? Because I would love to be able to answer them. Okay. If that is all, I really appreciate all your time. This has been something that, again, we're very excited about talking to you more about. And if you're actually ready to try this out, you go to get.timedoctor.com/beta program, or you just email your CSM support2@timedoctor.com. You'll be able to get access to it. If you just click on this link right here, and let me actually see if I can bring that up for you guys. Get.timedoctor.com slash beta program. Okay. I know this is dead air, but please bear with me. Oh, there we go. The link is right there. All right, so let me share my screen with you and show you how this works. Entire screen. All right, so you go here, type in your Time Doctor email. The one that you usually have associated with Time Doctor is ideal because we can find you immediately. Type in your first name, your last name, and your company name, and bam, you are in. Again, the benefits: you get early access, you get to influence product development, you get exclusive virtual events, and we might actually even do some in-person events if we have enough people that join this program, and you'll be able to stay ahead of the curve. Sign up, you get exclusive features, and then basically you start driving change. On top of your CSMs and your support reps, you will actually get access to our R&D organization, or R&D team department, so you'll be able to get access